Yo, what's good guys, but I'm Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys one of my new favorite defenses to run in Madden 22 after the patch. So, the patch did a lot of things. It changed a lot, mainly defensively with coverage. Of course, there were offensive changes, but defense plays a lot different. You guys notice zones play a lot different, and I'm sure you've been hearing that and seeing that from everybody recently. Now we're gonna hop into a basic defense and kind of show you how it plays, how I like to adjust out of it, some of the variations that we can do with this defense. It's gonna be a standard Tampa 2. Now you could run this out of the 2-4-5 odd. You can of course run this out of any formation, but we're gonna be in the 3-3-5 wide, going back to one of these formations. And I'm just going to show you why I like that and basically how I adjust out of it. So nickel 3-3-5 wide, Tampa 2. Of course, you can be in Miami playbook, you can be in Chicago playbook, you can be in 4-6. Pretty much most of the playbooks have this formation, so you should be good. Of course, you can get a safety at linebacker. We don't really need one because we got Keanu Neal, who basically, let's be honest, is a safety. And I mean, other than that, we're not going to be going into the coaching adjustments. We're just going to show you what the standard cover 2 looks like and the zones that we're going to add to it. Now, I'm going to be going against this bunch Y flex. Pretty much has all the same routes as a gun bunch. San Francisco offense does not have gun bunch, so that's why we're using this. But with that being said, let's jump straight into it. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys drop a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel down below. It's the best way to support the channel, and let me know that you guys want to continue to see these videos. So go ahead right now and hit that subscribe button. But we're going to be in the 3-3-5 wide once again, as previously mentioned. Now we're going to show a couple of ways to adjust out of this. One thing you're going to want is auto flip on. Again, you don't need any of your zone drops on. Now, the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and base align, which is not necessarily needed against a bunch or compressed set, but against a trips, you're going to want to do that. Against a spread, you're going to want to base align, get these linebackers, Van Der Esch and Parsons on the left in that compressed state so that it is symmetrical. Now, I'll just show you what the cover 2 looks like first, and we're going to go against a stock flood look here. And I want you to watch the cloud flat, mainly Trayvon Diggs. Where's the big gap? And these are stock cloud flats. Again, these aren't zone drop to adjust. You can't even do that in practice mode still. But you notice how he's just playing super far back. Even if we press him, which I don't recommend pressing cloud flats because you're going to get beat over the top. You see still the flat is still open, but he is defending the out route. So how do we take advantage of that? And also, same case scenario for corner routes. He's going to defend the corner routes very well. He's going to defend the out routes very well. But the biggest gap you can kind of tell from there is going to be your flats. So you're going to immediately want to, take care of the flats. And the way we're going to do that is simply by adding some hard flat zones. Now again, these, you can't really adjust these with zone drops anyways, simply because of the fact that flats, the hard flats and the cloud flats will go into the same category. So if you adjust your zone drops, and they're going to play in the exact same spot, which is not what you want. The cloud flats play deeper where you would want them anyway, so it does not matter. So for our first setup, we're just going to throw A in a hard flat and X in a hard flat. Our X linebacker, of course, in the hard flat, which here is your play art now. Now, of course, it looks kind of weird from the play art standpoint. You have a thing like this. If you wanted to play the same style of defense with the play art kind of looking a little bit better, I don't know if you guys care about that, you'd set your curl flat zone drops to 5 or 0 yards and get them to play hard flat. It's not that big of a deal, but for practice mode purposes, we're going to have to leave it like this, which does look funny, but it is fine. Now, this is just going to be the first way we run it. 3-man rush. You have an extra vert hook over the middle of the field to help out with things like seam streaks or hitch routes or underneath routes with the running back. And then, of course, we have our user. So for this first setup, we're leaving the middle of the field deep open, which is where you want to, take your attention immediately. We're going to watch deep. Is there anything there? If not, we can kind of follow X and then Y. But I want you to see how everything was defended. Now, we're not going to get really good pressure in this instance. We don't have super good defensive linemen, but you see how this flood concept on the right-hand side is going to be taken away very well, the hard flat, and then you see Trayvon Diggs coming up and lurking on the cloud flat. Of course, the deep half will take Ayuk, and then your only worry is things in the middle of the field, which will be either A, the running back, and B, Kittle. So if you're going against something like this bunch Y flex, you notice he's not throwing anything out on the left side. That's where we can get adjusty with Parsons. A, leave him in his vert hook, and that would be good, or you can man him up on like the running back. So we can go with a setup kind of like this, and this would not be the worst setup against a stock flood look. Then you get them blocking the running back, and now everything is going to be just clamped up. So look at the way the vert hook. Jordan Lewis does a good job of taking away RB immediately. And, of course, Trayvon Diggs gets passed on to him. I mean, this is a 4-man rush. I don't know how. I mean, 6 against 4. We should have got a quicker shed than that, but it's fine. But, I mean, yeah, you see the coverage very, very well. Now let's go into a different play. Let's go Z-spot just to show you the corner out. Now, I don't think he stays on him, but I think he defends him for a decently long time, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll just run something like this out of Z-spot. And then, again, we're going to set up the same defense. Now, of course, for this one, you're going to want to go double hard flat. You still have your vert hook, which, again, in this case, isn't really going to do much. But you see RB, he's decently defended well. Again, if you notice, you might want to go cloud flats a little bit deeper. That's something that you can do. I know these cloud flats do well against regular bunch, like a bunch trail play. But if you notice, for instance, the Z-spot play, able to get a little bit open, that's where, I'm actually going to try something out here and see if it works. We're going to try out shading outside, see if that makes a difference. And I do want to base a line, which I don't think I did. But we're just kind of labbing on the fly here, seeing what works, seeing what changes we might have to make to the play. And you see Trayvon Diggs, he kind of stops at that 45 yards. So that might be an adjustment you make. If you want to go 25 yards on the zone drops, you can. If you want to go 30, you can. So again, if you're using zone drops, make sure you put A in a curl flat and X in a curl flat instead, and then you set those curl flats to around 5 yards, which certainly is an option. Now, there still are going to be some openings, and that's going to be the middle of the field. If you notice the middle of the field being a little bit open, that's where you got to throw this guy, Keanu Neal, which is the only guy who can go in the inside third in his respective zone. We will show a cover 3 cloud setup later that prevents this from happening or prevents you from having to use the slot corner. So again, we're going to go hard flat over here, and then we're actually, for this one, you're going to have to use your Jordan Lewis. So, of course, you're rushing 3. You have 3 deep zones. You have 4 flat zones. That's going to force you to only be alone in the middle of the field unless you were to rush 2, which I would never, ever do in this year's Madden. We'll go with the verticals one, and this verticals play might be where you get trouble. Something like this, we'll run it like this type of vertical setup. Now, this setup would probably give you a little bit of trouble, I'll be honest. I mean, you have a lot of things in the middle of the field. If you notice someone going verticals, that's where you want to go with the first cover 2 setup, and then you actually probably man up the running back because you know he's not going to put it flat on the other side. So you see, I can kind of work over on why. You notice how the hard flat's going to take him, but RB is probably your main concern. So let's actually show how to defend that better. So again, we showed the middle third setup. Against verticals immediately, I don't need a middle third. So we're going to be able to use our Keanu Neal. We're going to leave the vert hook, and that will pretty much take away everything. So again, verticals, you're going to run this first setup. Now we're just still going to put the hard flat on the left because a popular setup out of verticals is this. And I'm kind of trying to run it like a gun bunch, but this setup. And then of course you delay fade A, which we can't do, so we'll just leave him. But here you see everything would be defended well. You kind of take RB with your user. And, I mean, hopefully you get pressure sooner or later. I mean, look at the 49ers O-line right here. This is wild. I didn't know. I mean, they certainly don't play this good in real life. But, yeah, I mean, you can see how you might have to adjust play to play. If you notice him going with a bunch trail with a deep post behind it, that's when you might want to do it. But other than that, I mean, I would feel decently comfortable going with the 2 safeties. Streaks down the middle don't really work as long as you have faster safeties, so that shouldn't be a huge concern from you guys, but I mean, I can definitely see where that might stem from. So we'll hop into, again, maybe a Z-spot type of a play. If we just run it stock, and again, I mean, this setup, it's not something you want to run every play. I do like switching between cover 4 quarters, Tampa 2, cover 6 invert, one of my favorite plays, so you don't have to run cover 2 every play. But, I mean, you see here, again, everything seems to be defended well. I mean, look at Trent Williams over there. He is absolutely bullying Randy Gregory. So, that's cool. But normally, you guys know you get faster pressure than this. And, again, if you want to rush that 4th guy, then you're going to put A in the hard flat. And then you're just going to put Parsons over here in the hard flat. So, now you have no help in the middle of the field. You have no other deep zone. And you're going to rush 4, so you're going to get quicker pressure, but there's going to be bigger gaps. And when you see we rush 4, we don't really get that much faster pressure anyway. So that's usually why I'll go with the rush 3. But if I notice me getting killed badly, that's when I would probably go rush 4. if I have to. But other than that, I'm probably not going to want to necessarily, and you're going to pretty much force me to have to rush that fourth guy. So show me that you have good enough pocket, and then we'll rush that fourth guy, or we can, of course, spy him. Now, again, I can kind of run vice versa. If I want to mix him up a bit, we can go ahead and just mix these two zones. So now we throw Van Der Esch in the vert hook, Jordan Lewis in the curl flat, or the hard flat, and this would just be a different way of disguising. Maybe he's throwing the flat early before Van Der Esch gets out there, and now you have your slot corner there. It's not going to happen. So you see, again, Van Der Esch kind of matches weird there. You notice how he comes down on Y instead of actually defending the dig route, so it is a little bit interesting there. But as long as you're able to learn these, and again, you're not going to run this play every single time. You're going to mix this in with some of the match coverage, some of the cover 6 invert. You can even mix in man coverage. So, and if you wanted to, a double Mabel cover 3 type look would work as well. So you can really, when you best players defensively, they mix it up. I know it's tempting when you see this play work, but if you notice you're in Tampa 2, especially without that inside third, you're going to get beat for a touchdown if you do not add it. So, and you're never going to know when he's running which play, so you do have to have your eyes down the middle of the field, especially. Now let's just talk about that cover 3 cloud that I kind of mentioned earlier. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to put A in the curl flat, B in the outside third, and then L1 in this mid zone, or D, yeah, middle, inside third. You can turn this into a cloud flat as well. I wouldn't be mad at that. And then with this guy, we can just rush 4. So this wouldn't be a bad rush 4 setup. Of course, again, the cloud flat is going to defend both the flat and yeah route. We'll see here. I'll just hop on the D-line and make a read. But I mean, you see, we still have a ton of space for this flat route. That's a 10-yard pickup. So realistically, if I'm going with the cover 3 cloud on that left-hand side, what I'm doing is I'm probably forced to run it kind of like this and go with a 3-man rush. So we're going to double Mabel on the right, run a standard cover 2 on the left. If I want to, again, I can still hard flat over there. I would probably, knowing that if he's going to throw a drag from right to left in this situation, you'll kind of let him. Same case with bunch. If he's going to run a drag out of the bunch side, which very rarely you will ever see, then you're going to let that happen. But if I want to, I'd probably just man up Trey Sermon over here, and I would run my coverage like this. This would be one of the best coverages. If I want to leave the vert hook, I can. And if I notice he's not putting anyone out there, we can definitely just rush Micah Parsons as well if needed. But here you see the curl flat's going to do a good job. I like the Tampa 2 setup a little bit better, but if you want to give him no chance to beat you deep, run this cover 3 cloud. We'll show that setup one more time. Again, it's going to be A in a cloud, or curl flat, B in an outside third, L1 in an inside third, A in a hard flat, and then with X, you can go ahead and man him up. So we'll hop into the setup with verticals. Now, this is where the play kind of hurts because A is going to be open down the seam. This deep X guy is going to be open as well. So now you have 2 kind of gaps. A, you see he's open. R1, of course, he is wide open if your user is not there. So that's where you run into trouble. So I'd stick Tampa 2 until he shows me that he can really beat me deep. And again, you'll switch between all these. Hopefully you just guess right which play he's running. The bad players, you can tell which one, especially if you use motion or tells, but you're not going to know which play he's running. As long as you switch between these, you'll be fine. But that's pretty much going to do for the video. If you enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.